Jai Hind to all. My name is Gunj. Today I am here to taking a topic divide and conquer matrix multiplication. I am assistant professor in CSC department AKGEC. So these are the outlines for today's lecture. First, I am going to discuss the introduction about the divide and conquer. After that, different type of algorithms which are based on it. After then, I am picking one algorithm which is based on the divide and conquer and taking the introduction for this algorithm. The name is Stressen matrix multiplication. After then, analysis of Stressen multiplication and then the solve example. So let's start. So first of all, what is the divide and conquer method? Divide and conquer is the strategy for designing the algorithm, and this is basically divided into three parts. First, we have to divide the large problem in the sub parts, after then conquering them, and after the solution is the part, then finally we are going to combine them. So what is the divide approach? The problem is divided into two and more smaller part, and conquering means the sub problems by solving them recursively, after then combining. What is the combining? The solution to the sub problem into the solution for the original problem. Now this is the basic approach, or we can say this is the basic algorithm how we are applying the divide and conquer at the problem. So here the input, as I input I am taking any problem. After then, if this problem is small, then no need for division and further steps. So just simply return the solution. In the else state, if the problem is not small, that means obviously problem is large. So we have to apply the 3 points as we discussed earlier. We are going to divide them, then conquering, and then finally combining. So divide the P, this is the problem, into the smaller instance like P1, P2 and up to Pi. Apply divide and conquer to each of these sub-problem. After then return the combination, or we can say after the conquering we are providing the solution of the combined problem, which is known as the P, which is the complete problem, and the solution of this particular problem is the S as return as the result. So these are some algorithms which are basically on the type of divide and conquer manner. First one is maximum minimum problem, binary search, merge sort, quick sort, Stressen's matrix multiplication, and the convex hull. So in this today's lecture, I am taking one of the algorithm. The name is Stressen matrix multiplication. Now what is it? In Stressen's matrix multiplication, the basic matrix multiplication algorithm is, as I believe you already done in your BTech first year, this is the simple approach and the simple C program to just multiply two matrices. What is the main funda, or we can say what is the main concept behind this? This is the code of algorithm. Here we are using the 3 nested loops, and after then we just compute the Cij. This is the nothing but the multiplication of the target two matrices. Okay, then the time analysis. What is the time analysis? The time analysis is actually the cost of each I of j is just a multiplication of aik and bkj. K is the intermediate variant which is used to take the multiplication of the current a and j two matrices. Then what is the time analysis? If we are calculating these particular, then we get the time complexity is nq for the simple matrix multiplication. So here, this is the example for just performing the simple matrix multiplication. If we are taking an example, C equals to A into B, there is a A and B two matrices. Like this is the representation, A11, A12, A21, A22, and so on. And the resultant of these two matrices as a multiplied, This is the result, C1, C2, C multiplication. This is the actual hit for do the matrix multiplication. As we are seeing over here, in this particular method, we are going to do 8 times of matrix multiplication. See, one multiplication is required over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can say here the 8 matrix multiplication are required and 4 plus operations are there. So what is the reason behind a divide and conquer method? Here, as we see, the 8 multiplies are used. So the recurrence function for any matrix multiplication, if we are using a basic approach, a simple approach, or we can say the iterative method for the matrix multiplication, this is the recurrence function. As we are consecutively divided into 2 parts, so we are taking n by 2, and as I discussed earlier, we are using 8 multiplications. Then the 8t n by 2 plus n square, what is the n square? N square is basically used for the function which is based on the number of plus we are using. So if we are solving this particular recurrence by using any technique which I believe you already know, or maybe a master method, or we can say a tree method, we are just solving this, then we got the time complexity as n cube. So there is a author named Stressen is just study about this analysis and propose their own method, and he tried to reduce the time complexity by n cube. So this is the basically some funda and some rule about the Stressen matrix multiplication. He gives 7 formulas, and using these formulas, after then the 4 formulas, just calculating the matrix multiplication. Here, if we are considering or analysis in the last step, which is the iterative method, we are using 8 multiplies in that particular equations, or we can say process. In this particular process, which is the name of Stressen's matrix multiplication, we are using 7 multipliers. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in the last, or we can say in the previous method, we are using 8 multiplier. There is the 8 recursive call, but in this particular method, here the 7 calls are required, or we can say 7 multipliers are there. And if you are calculating the plus and minus, there are 18 plus and minus operations. So the analysis of this particular Stressen's matrix multiplication is, as we say, there is the 7 multipliers. So the recurrence function is 70 n by 2 plus n square for the plus and minus operation. If we are solving to this recurrence, then we got the time complexity is n to the power 2.81. So in the last application, or we can say in the last process, the time complexity is n cube, and in this particular analysis, the time complexity is n to the power 2.81. So what is the basic funda, what is the main requirement of this particular process, or we can say Stressen's matrix multiplication? By using these 7 formulas, and after then just putting the value of these 7 parameters in the C11, C12, C21, C22, we just find the multiplication of the given matrices. So I am just taking an example which is the textbook example and just going to solve it. Now this is the example. Here are 2 matrices are there. A matrix, the values are 1, 2, 3, 4. A matrix B matrix, the value of B is 2, 2, 3, 1. So I am just indicating what is that. If I am taking, this is the row 1 and this is the column 1. This is the column 1 and this is the column 2. For B matrix, this is the row 1 and this is the row 2. This is the column 1 and this is the column 2. Now, just calculating the value of P1, P2, P3 up to P7 by using these formulas which is discussed by or which is given by the stressors. So, how we are going to calculate the value of P1? This is actually A11 plus A22. After then multiplying them B11 and B22. Then what is the value of A11? The value of A11 is 1 plus A22. The value of A22 is 4. Now multiply by B11. The value of B11 is 2 plus the value of B22 which is 1. Now, after the calculation, this is the 4 plus 1 which is 5 and then this is the 2 plus 1 which is 3. Then 5 into 3 becomes 15. So, the value of P1 is 15. As I am just calculating the value of P2 and the formula is P2 is A21 plus A22 multiplied by B11. What is A21? A21 is 3 plus A22 which is 4 and then multiply by B11 which is 2. Now this is 4 plus 3 which is 7 and 7 multiplied by 2 which is 14. Now what is P3? P3 is basically A11 and A11 value is 1 multiplied by B12 which is B12. 12 is 2 and minus by B22 which is 1. Now the value of P3 is 2 minus 1 which is 1 and multiply by again 1. Now just calculate the value of P4. P4 is A22. A22 is 4. After then multiply by B21 and the value of B21 is 3 and minus B11. The value of B11 is 2. Now 3 minus 2 is 1 and multiply by 4 which becomes 4. And the value of P5 A11. The value of A11 is 1 plus A12. The value of A12 is 2. After then multiply by B22 which is 1. 2 plus 1 is 3 and multiply by 1 which is 3. After then P6, the value of P6 is A21 which is 3 and minus by A11 which is 1. After then P6 multiply by B11. B11 value is 2 plus B12. The value of 12 is 2. Then 3 minus 1 which is 2 and this is 4. Then 4 multiplied by 2 becomes 8. After then the value of P7. The value of P7 is what? A12 is 2 and A22 is 4. After then multiply by B21 which is 3 and then B22 which is 1. So this is minus 2 and multiply by 3 plus 1 which is 4. So the value is 8. Minus 8. So these are the calculation, or we can say these are the values after calculating or after providing the value of P1 formula, P2, P3, P4 and so on. Now, we are getting the value of P1, P2, P3 up to P7. After then, we are just putting these value in this particular index. So, what is the value of C11? So, C11 value is P1 plus P4 minus P5 plus P7. What is the value of P1? P1 is 15, then plus P4, which is 4. After then minus P5, which is 3, and then plus P7, which is minus 8. Minus 8. Now, if we are calculate this thing, this is 15, then this is plus 4, 15. This is the 15 plus 4, 19, or we can say 18, 8, 11. If we are minusing this, then 4, it becomes the value of 8. So 15, and then this is plus 1, 16 and 8. So C11, the value of C11, which is comes 8. After then C12, the value of C12 is P3 plus P5. The value of P3 is 1, and plus the value of P5, which is 3. So the value is 4. And after then the C21, which is P2 plus P4, the value of P2, we are calculating C21. After then, we are just calculating C21. So the value of C21 is equal to P2 plus P4. What is the value of P2? Which is 14, and plus P4. The value of P4 is 4, which is 18. And at last, the value of C22, which is, now in C22, the value is P1 plus P3 minus P2 plus P6. So P1, what is the value of P1, which is 5, plus P3, which is 1. After then, the P6, the value of P6 is 8, and minus P2, which is equal to 14. Now, the term is, which is 15 minus 14, which is 1, and 8 plus 1 is 9 and 10, and the resultant is 10. So, the answer is basically the C11, 8, 4, 18 and 10. So, by using these particular formulas, which is prescribed by, which is given by Stressens for just matrix multiplication, we are calculating the multiply of two given matrices. And what is the benefit? As I discussed earlier, in the simple iterative method, we are taking the 8 multipliers in each the matrix multiplication. So obviously the time complexity is n to the power 3, as we already calculated. But if we are using the Stressens matrix multiplication, then we are performing only 7 multiplier. Then the time complexity of this particular Stressens method is actually less than the iterative method. Then I believe you are just taking up these formulas, then you can easily solve this particular example, and I believe you just comment me the answer, and if any problem, then you also give me in checkbox. Okay, so just I am sum up this particular lecture which I have already delivered. I have covered the divide and conquer technique. What is that? If the problem is huge, or we can say large, then we have to divide this particular problem in some small parameters. After then, if the problem is large, then we should go to division. If the problem is not large, it is sufficient to do work without dividing, then we can go through and just provide the solution. But if the problem is large, then we have to perform the divide, conquer and then combining. What does that mean? I already told. Just divide the problem into several parts. After then, just conquering. Conquering means if there is a problem P and you are going to division in P1, P2, P3 and P4 just for a sub problem, then the P1 is solving by, if we are applying some searching, or we can say if we are applying some sorting, then at P1, P2, P3, P4, all problems are solved by the using the same particular technique. Like if we are performing the sorting, then at all the problem P1, P2, P3, P4, we are just performing the same. After then, when we are dividing these, then just conquering them. Conquering means just solve at that particular level. Level is what? If we are need to do further division, then we have to divide, and then finally conquering them and just getting the solution of these particular problems. And then finally, we are just going to combine. After then, we are discussing some algorithms which are using this particular technique. And then after then, I am just picking up one of the algorithm. The name is Stresson's matrix multiplication. In this Stresson's matrix multiplication, as I already discussed, he gives some 7 formulas which I am showing over here. By using these formulas, we are just reducing one multiply recursive call which is done in simply iterative method. Here in that particular method, we are using 8 multipliers, and in this particular method, the just 7 multipliers are there. So as I discussed earlier, the time complexity of that particular iterative method is n to the power 3, and this particular approach, the power is little bit reduced, which is n to the power 2.8. So this is all about the today's lecture. If any query, then you can chat me, you can give me any query in the chat box. Okay, thank you very much. Jai Hind everyone.